So welcome to this Manor tutorial. I'm actually so hyped to bring this to you, and also congrats, it is Friday the 26th and you can finally play this game yourself. I will guide you through a little bit of a different tutorial today because this game is treated differently, and I will guide you through with a very friendly or beginners friendly little guide here for whatever mode you're going to play. This is also going to be a bit of a different tutorial in that sense that this is not like the straightforward one-off solution that always works. It is a little bit more of a guidance rather than a specific tutorial on a step-by-step base. It is going to be a bit more loose because the game is a bit more loose, and I'm again so hyped to bring this to you. And also, if you have any more questions, please put them down in the comment section. I am maybe like 80% of an expert right now. The last 20% are down to the combat system that I haven't really touched upon too much right now, but at least enough to give you a bit of an idea. Hey, quick tip from Rudy from the future. This is a rather long tutorial, so maybe put it on 2x if you want to skip forward quicker, but I take you through this slowly step by step if you want to enjoy that. Otherwise, put it on 2x and now enjoy the tutorial. Now, it depends a little on what you want to do first, but the very beginnings are always the same. Pause the game. Like, this is legit the first thing you need to do. Pause the game. Because as in many of these games, we have time running, and the time is not really our best friends because we need to go and prepare ourselves for the first winter. That being said, the first winter in this game isn't as harsh as you may know it from other games. However, the setup will become more important in the later stages of the game, so you will need to do a lot of things in the first year, nevertheless, to be prepared for the future. And to be prepared for the future is the second step. You need to check where the hell you are, because different starting areas of your map will actually define the way you're going forward, because it kind of depends a little bit what kind of resources you have, because well, I'm gonna quickly explain to you. Like, this game offers you certain options to go forward, and one of the central things about this game will be food and the fuel. Even though fuel is always kind of doable because you can do it with a lot of wood and you can also restore wood, so it's basically a sustainable resource you have, whilst food is a little bit more complicated because it depends on A, the food sources you have around, and B, the fertility of the starting area you are in. So first things first, let's quickly check what we have. We do have a rich stone deposit, which is kind of good because stone is also very relevant at the beginning, and also you can sell a bit of that. We have a normal iron deposit, which is okay, but especially when it comes to combat, it's good to know that you have only a normal one, so we won't use combat wear or armor to sell because, well, selling stuff will become important in order to gain some wealth that you can then spend on food, for example, or other things that you need to please your people. Now, the next thing we have is a rich berry depot, which is very good. Like 128 is pretty damn good. So you want to avoid chopping down trees and stuff in this region because that is no good, because then it's going to vanish and you are not having this anymore. We have a normal clay deposit, which also is going to tell us that we are not going to sell too much of the clay things. Specifically, the roof tiles that we can make out of clay will be a good trading option in the future, which you can gain from other areas. And then we have a normal wild animal depot. So that tells us, especially when it comes to food, berries alone will not guide you through, but this kind of is telling you that there might be a good idea to have the forest management as a first thing to go, because it doubles the capacity of the berry deposits, which will make the rich depot even more rich, which is kind of great. However, this is just being said to plan a little bit ahead. Last thing we need to check is the fertility of the region. To see that, you just open the building menu, and on the right hand side you can open the different areas. So first of all, you can check where the water is. So water is barely an issue because you will always have water around, and put some wells down. Emmer, you need for wheat, for example, is not really that great on here, to be honest. Flax is not great at all. Same goes for barley, and rye is kind of okay only. So if we zoom out, or actually try to look at this a little bit from this angle, we can actually tell that we have found ourselves in a rather weak spot. So that means we have another option to go for, and this is getting the food from trade and actually also getting the food from our resource we can produce ourselves. And that will become the apples, for example, with the orchardries, because they will also bring you the option to gain some food. Now, that being said, we need to start building. And as we have not done anything and the game is paused, and this is why it's so important to pause the game, because it takes a while to check out all the things which defines your strategy, the next step is rather more straightforward. Because what you need to do now is you build houses for your people. You know, we have a couple of people down here. You can see we have got 10 families, 8 adults, and 2 kids at this point. Actually, 8 males and 2 females, whatever. Not kids. We haven't seen kids over here, anyways. We've got Linnard, Friedland, and so on. Your people over here, and we have 5 workforce, so to say. So that means we can spend 5 families on working conditions. That is always like in many games. As soon as you put a task down, you need a family, which equals 1 workforce to go into something. Now, obviously, what we need is a lot of timber and wood at the very beginning, as you may already know from games like that. If we check our construction menu up here, you can see at this moment we've got 8 timber, we've got 20 stones and 10 tools. Now, if we go to the building menu, the first menu we have is the gathering menu, and this is where things become a little bit more interesting. Now, people usually go forward and build a lot, which I do myself as well, but in our specific situation, we don't really need to do that much, because we do have quite a lot of food already available for us at the beginning. So if we go out of the menu, you can see food at the moment. We've got 20 breads, which is kind of okay for our people, but we should go here and clear the berry deposit as quick as possible, and also the wild animals. We have like quite a good situation going on over here, and checking this area, honestly, it makes sense to put our storage rather close to here, because that will then connect our city. So I'm gonna put my city center somewhere here. Like this is the King's Road, where the trade people come from. So it's a very good location in general for the city to grow. Because it's a good connection to the food resources. People don't have to walk that far. This is good. But the first thing you need is shelter for the people, to make sure that your approval rises, because as soon as approval rises, then new families will join your city, and that is the very most important thing at the beginning, because you need to have families coming into your town to increase the workforce, and hence you can do more things. So what I like to do at the very beginning is, and this is what you also need to do, you can also upgrade this to a worker camp, which you can see is providing crude living space for 5 families, contrary to the burger spots, can't be upgraded and expanded. But this is not a problem, because you will actually give the people instantly something to live in. So I'm gonna upgrade this, and they won't complain too much about over living in certain areas, so you can focus on what really increases the approval. Now, that being said, what we need is obviously more timber, because we'll need timber to build certain things. What we're gonna do is putting down a logging camp, and as I said, you can see there's like the red outline around here, which you shouldn't chop down, and the same goes for that here. So I'm gonna show you a little trick, and I'm gonna put the logging camp, let's see where this is, like a nice little forest batch we can chop down anyways, but I'm gonna put this one here. And once this is done, I can actually give them a radius in which they can build only. So this is what I'm going to put down. And so I'm going to connect this here. And as I said, you know, you can usually do this a bit more nice. If you want to change the curve, you can hold down Control and then rotate with your mouse wheel. You can make it either fully straight or make it super wobbly and curvy if you want to have it more organic. I'm going to keep it somewhat like so and just confirm over here. So this is going to the center area. And what we need next is also, we need to make sure that we have a woodcutter's lodge later on for the winter, because that is going to provide us with some firewood, which we need in the winter. I'm going to put this down relatively close here to the timber anyways, because that's what's important. So these things can be built rather quickly. And once you have done these building things, you can put the priority. So you can actually tell them what to do first and what to do second. So I'm going to go and put this to very high and then put this to medium. That is fine. This is the supplies lying around. You can see this is like a hitching post we have over here. That is important for your oxen to go around. We're going to talk about oxen in a second. And now you need to build upon that. So we've done this, and these 2 things are the first you need. Don't focus on anything else, okay? And the next bit you want to do is you want to first of all, get a well down because people need water to be happy, and put a market area down. I'm not going to put down a big market area because I did this mistake way too early and gave them way too much market space, and so only this space will be filled. But at the beginning, this shall be more than enough to give the people. And let's see if we can squeeze a path through here. We can actually. So let's do this and give ourselves the chance to build a little bit of a pathway here towards our natural resources. We're going to bring this over here. Nice. So that is done. And at this point, you can see we only have 3 timber left and a couple of stones. But what we will need, and this is what I want to make them build the second time around. So after logistics, I'm going to say granary, because the granary will ensure that our food is not going to be spoiled. And this is very important indeed. So I'm going to put this one right over here next to the market area, so people can get the goods and bring them to the market stalls rather quickly. And we're going to put this one to very high, so the second after these 2 things are done, they should build our granary. At the moment, we've got March, weather is okay, so we shouldn't run too quickly into rain situation. And things are done. So you can see we are 10 minutes into the tutorial, but you have already done quite a huge percentage of starting this game well. At this point, it's very important to quickly let these things being done, and after these things are being done, we are going to talk again.
Know what that means, don't we?
Alright, so things are done, and I paused the game again to ensure that we don't run into too many issues. We are still in March, obviously, and you can see we have a living space for our 5 families in here, which is good, so they're not freezing and so on. We've built a granary, which is great, because then our goods have been moved over, and now we have a logging camp. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring 1 family work in here in the logging camp. We are not going to do this for the woodcutter as of now, because we are quite early in the year, and you can see we still have fuel for 15 months. So it's just important to have that bit. To be honest, at the beginning you don't really need that, but it's good to have it because sometimes you run out of timber and then it's going to be stressful to bring people in. But you don't want to put any workforce in there as of now because we have so many months ahead of us with enough fuel. Now the next thing is you've built a granary, and granaries, to move things around, you need to employ someone. You don't need. The first thing it's important is that they bring something in there as of our goods, which you can quickly employ someone and then take it out later, but I want to have a lot of people building for us, so I'm not doing more than this. Okay, so these things are settled. What I want to do now is I want to construct something for our food. You can see 3 months of food remaining. It's not really that much. So what we're going to do now is we obviously go into the food menu, but this means gathering is the first thing we need. So we need a hunter camp, which goes all the way over here. And we obviously need something else, but you can see there is not enough resources. Do we have? Oh, we actually have 1 more timber, so that's good. We can build this. So we're going to build this gathering hut over there. Honestly, these 2 things are more than important for us because obviously these are the things that provide us with food. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we have this on the highest priority, both of them. And actually, I want to make this 1 lower so they go first to the berries because it's a rich depot and they can start doing this. And they have been growing almost fully, I guess. They're growing, yeah. So we can make sure that they start gathering them as soon as possible. And the next step, as soon as we've done this, you want to plan in houses. But at this point, it's very good that you have nothing else to do because we need to wait for some timber. And this is the moment where you need to start balancing things out. I want to bring 1 more family in here to ensure that they chop down the trees quicker, and I have 2 families now building my 2 things over there. And again, we are going to see each other after this has been done to guide you into the next step, and then you're almost done with this tutorial, because after that you just need a couple of advices, a couple of ideas and a guidance, as I talked about earlier, to master this game. I will actually give you a couple more tricks and tips, but more about that in a sec. Great, so these 2 things have been built, and you can also tell that a part of our supplies are gone because they are now stored into the granary. And the granary, as you can tell, there is 1 person having this little icon over here, which is a market stall, as you can see over there. And the market stall is very important because it provides people with food. So this is why you definitely want to have this person remain in there, because this one is going to give you some food. You can see approval over here is nothing in, but there will be an increased approval soon because they will have access to food and to water as well. The next thing we need to give them is the access to fuel. As I said, you don't need to do too much because we have supplies, but in order to make sure these supplies are not going to go away, we need to give them 1 one more logistics house, and this is the storehouse, because this game does differ between two different types of goods. Now, the granary obviously is for everything food related, and the storehouse itself is for everything like kind of resource related in terms of stone, wood, and so on, everything you can see over here. And you don't want to keep this open to rain. It always has to be in like an secured area. You can also upgrade these buildings later on to make it provide more space. At the beginning, you've got 500, and you can go all the way up to 2,500 capacity for each building, which will become a limitation sooner than later, but for the moment it's okay. Now, as we've done this, you can see the depot for the berries is going, but I want to employ, first of all, I think I want to, how much timber do we have already? Three timber, so that's nice. And I think I want to, first of all, make sure that we have someone working in here for now, and then the next bit I'm going to do is just quickly get a person out of here to help ourselves with building a little bit more. In a second, we need to ensure that this is done, so I'm going to put this to highest as it already is. These two things have been built, and we're going to quickly, and we can actually do this in time because it should be done in no time, quickly build this storehouse for us. So as you can see, weather is turning, so I actually have been a little bit too slow to make it completely, but you know, as soon as this is done, I'm going to employ someone who's now going to get these goods, as you can see, and quickly bring them over into a secured location, because the game will tell us that the goods are exposed to the weather now, but they quickly took them. As you can see, yeah, they just took it to us, but they're already gone, so our goods should be fine. Let's quickly check upon them. Yeah, nothing happened, so everything is good. And we can now also pause the game again to check our situation. Look at the rain, by the way. It's so beautiful. Really, really love that. Okay, now, the logging camp is still doing its job. 8 timber, which is great, and you can see there is still 8 timber in here. Now, what to do next? You can see the approval rises because we have a market food variety starting. As you can see, we also have now firewood, which will help us as well. And there you can see food is going on with bread and meat, and we only have one family left to build houses. This is the moment in time where the basic setup is done. But as I said, the most important part of this game now is to get more families in. It took us a whole month and a bit to set up this whole thing. We have food coming in. One family is taking care of that. You get also some hides with it as well. And we can't at the moment afford to put someone in here. Now, you can start to balance things out a little, because you could now say, okay, stop doing some timber work and kind of help us to get some more food in, but we have the full summer to get this depot emptied. And honestly, the problem about this is, even though it is a rich deposit, they always will be quicker in having the whole thing harvested than the summer lasts. So basically, it's no big deal to put people in a little bit later. So at the moment, save your workforce for other things. And in my specific case, I want to make sure now that we are going to have a lot of houses provided for the people in here. Now, there are two ways of doing this now. Either you restore a lot of, or actually you keep a lot of space available also for the backlots of the houses to make sure that they can provide you with food rather quickly. Or, and this is what I suggest at the beginning, keep everything very close to the center to have very short distances for the families that come in to really make the most of the beginning, and then go into some new areas where you will give the houses more space. What do I mean by that? So what is this guy talking about? I mean, you potentially have seen a million things from this game already. But what you can see, you don't put down houses just like you know it from other games. You basically zone out areas. And it's not like it is in City Skylines, where you just say, hey, okay, this area over here is a residential. No, you just drag that thing, and this little arrow peeking out from the right-hand side now is defining where the house is facing. So you want to have it facing here, you can just turn it around. This is your starting point. And now you draw out 4 points, and you get this option to put them down. You can see I can put down 3 houses over here. If I click once, I can now also reduce the amount of houses if I want to, and this is what I just said. Now I reduced it to 2 lots. Basically, it's just 1 lot now with an additional area, but I want to have 2 +1 because you can actually upgrade this area, which is great because in this case you can have more families joining in. So I'm gonna say yes, we're gonna build this, okay? So then we are going to wait until this camp is not needed anymore. So I'm actually going to build the other houses right over here, and I'm just going to make sure that we draw out an area like this, and I don't want to have too much. Let's do it this way. There you go. And now we don't have any timber left, so we can actually make them build this. I mean, it doesn't really need to be the highest priority because obviously they will now focus on building this anyways. And this is exactly what I said. If you would now take the person out of the logging camp, that wouldn't be the most clever idea anyways, because, you know, they would focus then on building rather than chopping down more trees. And we need even more houses than that, because now it's actually time to focus on houses. We can actually let them build this rather quickly because the rest is already set up nicely. At this point, you could also take this person out because everything is secured and you don't need anyone more to be in here. But since this person has a market stall, I wouldn't remove this person because this is needed to raise our approval. This is why I keep that person in, and we unfortunately only have one family building in here. But that shall not be too much of an issue because we are in early April, so that is all good. And now houses are being made. And you can see as soon as this is done, we have the chance to have more living space. As you can see, there is a living space. How many families can this region currently accommodate? To increase it, build, expand budget. You can see we've got 6 plus 3 because these 3 are planned right now. We've got 6 families can be housed, and we have 15 people. But we've got 5 families, so we've got 1 more space. Actually, now we have got 2 more spaces to house our families, which is really good because that is also going to increase the likeliness of people joining us. Also, 6 months, you can now see we've got 6 months of food available. If we click on the granary, you can see stuff is raising. At the beginning, it's not really that much of an issue, as I said, because food is okay. But trust me, the more you expand, what you definitely will need to, the more hungry people will get, and also the more higher level they have, the more hungry they will get. So never forget that. And now you can already see new mercenary companies available, and a new family joins us, which is really, really great because we will need this workforce. Now, I've already built, or like actually the game has already built, the people in our town have already built what they needed to, and you can see the burgage plots have been plopped down. Now, if you click on one, you have the option to construct a backyard extension, as you can see, and give them something like a vegetable garden or a chicken coop or a goat shed, so for example. Or you can even expand the living space. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give them a vegetable garden and expand the living stuff. The same goes for this one. I'm going to give them a vegetable garden too. And you can see we are now left with a regional wealth of 20. And I'm going to go to the other house that has an expandable area. I'm going to give them the vegetable garden too. And I'm going to expand the living space. Why do I do it this way? Well, this is exactly what you should also focus on at the beginning. Giving those 3 houses access to a vegetable garden will make them also grow some vegetables and offer them on the market. So you have a food variety of 2 or actually 3 if we cover the berries as well, which is actually doable very early on, simply to have more variety. The more variety you have, the more approval you have. The more approval you have, the more people will join your city. And as I said at the beginning, there is nothing more important than actually having people join our village. Now I'm going to zone out a little bit of a more organic layout real quick here to put down some more plots, because as you can see, we've got 6 timber, and I want to make sure that we zone it out directly. I want to have more houses right over here, very close to the market, and I'm going to give them some small backyards because I don't want to have too much going on here. Maybe we're going to give them some chickens or so, or maybe a goat if that fits in, because all these houses will be important for the level 3 later on. Let me quickly explain that to you. As soon as you grow your houses to higher levels, they can become something else. As we can see this, or maybe actually let me check if I can show this in any of the houses to you right now, or if they're all upgrading. No, I can click on that one, and you can see houses can become something else later on. You can turn that into a bakery, or even a brewery, or even a cobbler's workshop, or a joiner's workshop, or a bowyer's workshop, and so on and so forth. And this is important because these things become the actual thing you need to build armor and to defend your village. And you want to have them very close to your storehouses and to the market space, because people have to be happy living in their houses and make these things. And if you turn this into, for example, a armor's workshop or a, let's say, tailor's workshop, they will permanently become such a thing. You can't put it back into a normal burgage plot and turn that into a vegetable garden anymore. That's not doable. And this is why they don't really need that much more space long term in the game. You know, you can always branch out from here and give people huge gardens because they will gladly remain level 1 and still do their gardens. However, if they have gardens, it's good to have an upgrade as we do it over here, because the more families live in one house, the more people can take care of the vegetable gardens, and hence they will grow quicker and harvest more from the vegetable gardens. Okay, now that being said, let's just quick set up all these houses and then go on from here to give you a couple of final things to grow your game. Alright, and with that, we have actually developed our town into the first level, because you can see we needed to build 5 burgage plots. Now, I haven't talked about this because we do this organically while building. So the first thing, pushing for the first one, was really easy to become a little small village. This is very important because now we can spend our first point. Let me talk about that in a second, but first things first, we've done this, and whilst we've done so, there were 2 new families coming into our town, which is great because now we have more space, we've got more families, all good, all nice, and now we can put one family right away into the forager hut down here. You can see there's also a herb garden extension you can grow later, but we don't want to focus too much on that. And you can see the hunting area is already, we're gonna down to 11 from 20, limit is set to 10 to make sure that life in there can restore themselves quicker. But one thing you may have seen rather openly and nicely in this time lapse I put in between, there is a little bit of an issue because we only have 1 oxen at the moment going to get ourselves some of the logs, because the logs are not taken from anywhere storage or so, because we don't really have that many. They will be taken right out of the forest over here. And the only thing I forgot is to give them an actual limit. So what you want to do, first of all, log in camp, go to advanced, and then limit the work area. Now let's see where we're going to put this. So I'm going to first of all increase the radius dramatically, because that's what we're going to do, and I'm going to give them all this area to work in, just making sure that the wild animals are excluded to make sure they're not chopping their life area, their habitat down. That's not something we want. But what we want now is trade. Okay, so a couple of things about trade. Why do we need trade? Well, first of all, as I said, we only have 1 livestock, and this is 1 oxen. That is not good, because we need more. As soon as we grow more, we need more oxen to carry the bigger timber around. Otherwise, this is going to take ages because we only have our oxen just 1. So this is why we're going to put down trading posts. And now we are going to go down here because this is the main road. You don't need to put them down to the main King's Road because that they can actually, travelers can get up here too. But I want to make sure that this is somewhere near. So I'm going to put one down here as well. And I'm going to connect the road to the King's Road as well. And this is a livestock trading post. But this is not the only one we're going to build. We are also going to build the normal trading post. These things are very vital. And the next thing that is super vital is going to be another thing from the gathering menu, and that is the saw pit. And we're going to put the saw pit right over here next to our lock area. And I'm going to talk about this in a second, why this is important. So these things being set up is very nice. We can quickly check our approval. You can see market food variety gives us an approval from +2, which is great. But we can get more approval through one building specifically, and that is a church. As you can see, the wooden church is important, and this is why the saw pit comes in handy, because as you can see, we need 20 of these wonderful planks, how they're called in this game. And to get these planks, we obviously need the saw pit and people to make something from the saw pit. So what we're going to do is, first of all, let's put this on the highest, and then we're going to make sure that this is on high and this is on high too. So this is being built rather quickly. We do have enough living space right now. As you can see, we've got 14 houses, but we only have 7 families at the moment. So that means we have space for people to come in and join our area, which I think is a good one. And you can see down here all the requirements to level up, which is something we need to do later, is we need a clothing soul supply and a church level. Church level is easy to build a church, and then the level rises, obviously. But clothing will need the livestock. So that's what we're gonna do next. Alright, so I quickly demolished the little town center here because we now have enough houses, and I wanted to reinforce that people now go and choose themselves to live in the houses. That was one thing I needed to do. And as we're in June right now, let's quickly stop the game. You know, you don't need to stop the game all of the time, by the way. But, you know, I don't want to I want to make sure that the game doesn't continuously run while I explain. Now, this is done, and there's a lot of special things around this specific construction over here, I shall call this. Now, there is a reason why I put everything next to the logging camp. As we do only have one ox at the beginning, it makes sense to have something very close to where the timber is coming from. So just as a little bit of an explanation, the game actually will have our logging camp and have people chop down the trees. Now, at the beginning, it's easy because the trees will be relatively close to the logging camp, and they will be bringing that quickly into the logging camp. And whenever someone needs some logs, they will come over here and grab them from the logging camp. The further the distance, the longer it takes to use the ox to bring it from A to B, and that's obviously causing some time issues, specifically when it's about to bring stuff from A to B in a short range. And what I want to do, I want to sell in the trading post, I want to sell certain goods in order to gain some more wealth. And you can see we are going actually for the planks. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to set this to export right away, and I'm going to put the desired surplus to 20, because this is exactly what we will need for the church. As soon as our storage reaches 20, everything above that will be automatically sold to the people in the world, so to say, to the tradespeople coming around. This is important because we need wealth in order to gain access, or actually to have money to basically buy some life goods and livestock. What we want to have at the beginning, obviously, is oxen. And you can see one ox costs us 20 bucks, so to say 20, so 10 times the planks, so 10 planks equals one ox. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to say import, and we're going to say, well, you can actually go all the way up, whatever. Okay, that might be a little bit too harsh at the beginning. Holding down shift makes you go in steps of 10, but I want to go to, let's say, 5 at the beginning. I don't want to do it too crazy. And right away, I'm also going to import some sheep, and I'm going to go to, let's say, 5, because I want to, as we have no fertility whatsoever in this region, we are not even going to try to go for flax to make linen. We are just right away going to go for the sheep farm. Or you going to do this, because that's not part of the tutorial anymore. You can also do stuff yourself after you've got a good foundation. But the next thing we're just going to do is start our little trade, and after the trade is done, you're almost set to live on your own, because now you can see that we run into issues of fuel. At the beginning it told us 16 months, great, but now we run into the issue of not having fuel anymore, simply due to the fact that we are having way more people living in this town. So what you're going to do, employ one person to the woodcutter's lodge, they can start doing so, and we will also have one person starting to build in here. And as you can see, we have no one assigned right now to building anymore, but you know, think twice, we don't have anything to build right now, which is great. So we can speed up the game, and first of all, wait to have people join our village. We can see the approval goes up. We also have to ensure that this little number over here doesn't go below 2, or actually better stays above 2, I shall say, because the lower you are going, the approval does go down as well, which is a bit of an issue. But you can see there is a family joining our region, which is great. And now you can see the little warning of not having enough supplies, but that shall change in a second. You can see they are starting to do so, and they are bringing, as you can see, we are already back to 2 months of supply of fuel, and that should go up quickly now. Now we can see there's also one person building in here, and you can see it's going rather quickly with the planks. And there will be no trade at the beginning, simply because we have no one employed in here, but they're bringing already the stuff into the trading post, because the trading post also acts like a storage. This is very good. Now we are waiting until we have more families to make sure that the families can work in here. We still have enough housing, so people should actually join us. Let's quickly check. Well, actually, we are lacking a little bit of housing, so we should actually give them more housing. Always keep that in mind. This is the easiest way to keep people in here. And as I said, stick to the rule I just told you. Make sure that things are built. Okay, we've got 2 little timbers, so let's see if we can maybe first of all put down 2. We don't even have 4. Come on. See, the thing about timber is now people will get the timber for either making the planks or making the kind of firewood over here. And this is why I like to keep them away at the beginning to ensure that we have enough logs to build ourselves. Now we can check if there's anything we can upgrade in here. Not really. There's not really anything going on. Okay, well that's fine. But you can see there's 9 plus 2. And we also have a good approval, and there is the new family coming in that we needed. And right away, we're going to get the family work in the trading post so that the trade can start and we can build up some regional wealth, which is relatively important to get our livestock, upgraded. And as soon as we've got one more family, we can put the family in here. You can see we already sold exactly what we needed. Now we have enough wealth already technically to buy one more ox, but we don't have a family working in the livestock trading post at the moment, so we will not buy anything from there because, well, there is literally no one who could buy anything. And this is why we need now more mortgage plots. Well, you can see we did a pretty damn amazing job. We are still late summer, and we are well prepared for the winter already. As you can see, 14 months of food and fuel for 4 months. We can quickly check how the deposits are doing. Yeah, we're down to 10 wild animals. There's no much more going on. And you can see the berry deposit is almost completely chopped down, which is exactly what I told you. You don't need to have it the full season. The season is also almost done. So I think in October or autumn, harvesting is not going to work anymore because the season is over, and this is why you need to ensure kind of the right timing done. Now these two houses are also done, very nice. You can see everything is pretty damn good. Let's see if we have the planks ready. We have the planks ready to put down a church, but we are missing out on the timber at the moment. What we could do, we could actually, let's see if we can, there is an option to, secure that for us. You can have a construction reserve in here so that you keep having these things in, first of all, before anything else happens. So maybe we need to make sure that, okay, well, actually we have the timber ready right now, so we should basically build the church rather quickly. Right, the church has been plotted down and they are now going to build the church to get even more approval. And we already have 3 families unassigned, so that is kind of good, and I can basically unpause the building right away. I just paused it real quick to get the timber, and now we can also employ a family living in here and working in the trade in here, so we can finally get our animals and hopefully getting more ox. Oh, a couple of little quick tips I completely forgot to tell you. Now, first of all, if you do want to have some more forests again, obviously there's an option to do so. You're going to go in here and place down a forester's hut, and the person working in here will actually put down some new seeds in order to grow more trees. So if you want to have a reforestation, you can basically do so by putting this house down. Just in the early beginnings of the game, I don't feel that's too necessary, simply because you will need this later on more than you needed at the beginning, as there is enough wood available to you. But so just you know. And the second thing I didn't really tell too much about is if you want to upgrade your houses later on, you need to meet certain requirements. As you can tell down here, you obviously need to have all these dots filled, and in order to do so, you need to provide them with at least 2 different types of food, 2 different types, actually a fuel stall and a clothing supply, which means any type of clothing. There are some clothings in the game available, such as, we can check in here, such as cloaks, clothers, shoes, and any of those will be good at the beginning to bring them to level 3. And in a higher level, they will actually need 3 food and 2 clothing and so on. You know that from Anno and other games. Just to quickly tell you, that is the way you do that. Now, this now is going to be the last tip of this tutorial. We have basically laid out a wonderful foundation for everything, and we are now about to buy new ox and new sheep. Now, you can obviously imagine as soon as you need to build down, for example, a sheep farm over here, you then can put down a additional pasture in which these animal lives, but obviously the sheep farm also comes with a little pasture, but even the trade has a little storage of a 4 pasture of 4. As you can see, pasture space is at 4, so we can still get some. But you can see stable space, now we have a second ox, by the way, is only 2 from 3, because, for example, a little hitching post like here only has a stable space of 1. But we can upgrade this to a small stable, which will then give them access to 2. Now, these things are a little bit like, let's call them delivery points, I want to call them, because this is exactly where these ox will be brought to. So for the logistics, you have obviously the hitching post as something that provides the space to basically attach an ox that you can then grab to bring certain pieces somewhere. So you want to put these things down strategically, basically. So I want to have one down there, and another one is definitely going to go up here in the region, so that we can always have an ox here, and we can also have an ox here, and we have an ox in the center, so people can always grab an ox if they need to bring certain goods from A to B, and this way have a bit of a quicker connection between all of it. And now, as you can see, also time-wise, the tutorial is ending because we are now in winter. I'm just going to quickly, just for beautification reasons, connect the church, just so that everyone can reach it. And we're done. We have a wonderful settlement, and almost this is one of my best ones I've done so far, at least in terms of how well it worked, because we can now also provide one more woodcutter, simply to be quicker in the winter, and also one more person to the logging camp. Yeah, we don't have something else for the workforce, but as soon as new families join us, workforce is not going to be that much of an issue anymore. Everywhere we have someone working, which is exactly what we needed, and you can see we have already 4 market souls, a firewood soul, forager stall, then we also have another firewood stall and a food stall, which is great because this is exactly what's needed. And if we check our approval, you can see it's going all the way up. Church level is now also getting a thing, and we could also finally go and check something else. We could also now have an assigned family to work as a grave digger, which is important for passed away people, but that's not too much of a big deal, but it just also increases the approval a little. But you can also see the generic storage as well. I think this is in here. Yeah, well, they just need to grab the stuff and then sell it. 28, you can see everything is good. And we are good. We are just doing absolutely amazing. Trees are going to be chopped down. We have a lot more. You can also then say, just one last thing, you can also permanently assign an ox to here, so that this ox exclusively is available to the people from this camp to grab the stuff they need and bring them back into the storage. Later on, that makes a lot of sense once you have them. And as you can call now, we have a couple more hitching posts, and we turned this into a small stable. And now you can tell we have 6 available spaces for our ox. And now you can also see we got a third one. We purchased that with the available money. And now everything is going to turn into winter. And this is where I pause the game and end my little tutorial over here. And as you can tell, this is how beautiful it looks. You can also pause it already after just a couple of minutes setting up your city. As I said, there are several ways of approaching it. This was now a way to go when you really need to focus on everything but fields and but farms. If we would have had a very fertile area, we would have pushed a lot more for farms instead of the trading, by the way, because the trading is only available, or let's say important to us that much in the first year, when you don't really have the chance to go for other food resources, because until we are there to change our area into some fertile lands with all the stuff, you need to really upgrade your area, or you need a lot of influence to claim another area. So that doesn't make sense. But just to give you a little bit of an idea, once you are in a very fertile area, you would skip the part with the trading for the first year. You're going to do this immediately the second year, but you would then go for farms to set the farms up the first year to ensure that you have all the spaces and stuff for the second year ready, so they can really do the crops beginning of year 2 to maybe at the end of year 1 already be able already be able to do certain other things. And also, as soon as you build some wealth now, just to show you real quick, maybe the last little thing we can do, if we build some more wealth now and we have actually purchased our ox, let's see if we have anything else said. Okay, we are purchasing quite a lot of them. Maybe you could stop it now from doing so, because we obviously went, I didn't spend our point yet, did we? Oh wait, did we? Oh, we didn't. Look at that. We didn't spend our point, so we can actually do this. The first point I want to spend is actually going down. I mean, I thought about making this double, but we can still do this later. I want to go for the orchardries. The reason why I'm doing this is I want to ensure that some of our houses will provide us with more food in the second year. So what you want to do now if you want to do it like this, you would now push for more houses that have a lot of a bigger space in the backyard, to make sure that they can plant apple trees. Beware, it takes 3 years before they have the full harvest. But it is the best way to go for a region like that, because apples basically grow in every backyard. They don't really need a fertility, which is great, because this is then a good food source for you that you don't need to purchase from the market. This is why I went this way. If I would have gone for the other one, I would have definitely gone for heavy plov, because this would have helped you a lot more in order to create great fields of fertile food. That would have been great. But, at this point in time, it was way more important to push for the trading and having, for example, the saw pit early on to push for the trade. And now, obviously, you can shape this in any direction you want to go. And just to sign this off, I'm going to quickly explain a couple of directions you could go. So either you want to have a peaceful play like I do, I would now really push for a lot more houses, making sure the food source and stuff are in going in like that. If you are more like a person who plays more for like going for combat and claiming other areas via combat, you can obviously do so, and we would turn around to our little iron deposit over here and would claim that as quick as possible to generate some iron slabs that you can really do. You could really quickly go now into the industry tab. Basically, first of all, you need to go for the mining. And then you have the mining pit, which you would be able to put down here. And as soon as you put that down, you could then also go to the industry and put down a bloomery that you're going to put in here. Ensure that you have enough firewood or woodcutters available. Maybe you need to build a second one rather quickly, because they will need a lot of fuel, taking away the fuel from your families. Also, that would be very helpful to have something very close by to provide them with the required fuel, and then they will create the iron slabs. Why you need the iron slabs? Well, because later on in a higher step of our burgers levels, then they, as I said, will be able to use that as a blacksmith to create spares and sidearms, which are used to obviously gain access to the combat, the army, basically. So we need to really make sure, but at this point we don't have any resources to create this, and we would need to hire them. So this is something you need to do. But if you want to push for that, you need to ensure you have the weaponry ready for them as soon as possible. Building a manor also helps to get a broad access to a couple of soldiers right away, but more about that in the later stages of the game. And as I said, I'm not the biggest expert on the combat. I just wanted to give you the idea. If you want to push for that, you go for the iron. If you want to go and push for a bit more of trade and getting your level up quickly, you would then go for the clay deposit next, because the clay deposit will rather quickly give you access to the roof tiles, because roof tiles are made out of clay. And once you have got roof tiles, you can really quickly upgrade your houses to level 3, because level 2 basically is already doable via timber, but level 3 will require additional stone and roof tiles. Stone is not really that much of an, you can either buy it or have the little stone. Where's our stone, by the way? It wasn't that far off, was it? There, it's down here. We even have like a rich stone deposit, so that would be great to have. And then you can update everything rather quickly. So that is good to know. And obviously, last but not least, if you want to go quickly for another area, you obviously will need to claim a lot of influence, which you can do with having a lot of churches and going to grow your city quickly to gain influence. So all these things said, you are set for the next year. We turned this game into January, and now I really hope you guys have a wonderful play. You did a great job getting this game, and if you didn't and you want to get something else, I don't know, there is a QR code to your top right now where you can support me by purchasing games from Instant Gaming. This is a service where you get a lot of discounts on games. It's totally legal, it's totally trustable. Don't worry, you only support me. You don't need to pay more or anything. I just get a small percentage of the games you purchase to a very good value, and it also adds to the number of games I have to sell each month to meet requirements, for example. So that is the easiest way to help me and to help yourself as well. Get a great game, get a DLC, get some vouchers, whatever you need. There's also a link in the description if you want to click this directly. But for the people watching this on TVs and so, which apparently seem to be more people than I thought, you can just scan the QR code and check yourself what you want to have. And potentially they will also have Manor Lords in the future too. But if not, you know, support this wonderful person doing this game and just purchase this right away from them. That'll help them the most, I guess. But yeah, thank you so much, and if not, and if you want to support me like this, you can just leave a like on this video or just sub to the channel. That equally helps me out. I wish all of you a wonderful play in Manor Lords. Enjoy it to the fullest, and leave me some feedback, what else you need to know, and how you felt and liked the tutorial. Thanks so much, and enjoy. Goodbye!